Well, I want to know where they put Romanov's trampoline after he was done jumping off it like that. Man, did he ever leave his feet?
Yes, I want hitting, I want checking, I want physicality, I want contact. In fact, I want more of it.
It can't change from game to game. It can't change from period to period. It can't change from preseason to regular season to playoffs. It has to be consistent across the board.
I love the game. That's why I care about a state.
Can't have it both ways. We always try and have it both ways.
Stick was on the ice one game, and it was just a train wreck waiting to happen, and boy, did it happen, and I want to see more.
For me, this is one of the super easy ones. Kicking, match penalty, suspension, done. Get it out of the game.
Hello, hockey humans of the world, and welcome to Tough Call Podcast Season 5, Episode 2, covering all of the 2023-2024 preseason. Episode 1 was a bit of a special episode. I decided to devote an entire episode to Hockey Canada's new dressing room policy. So if you're interested in how Hockey Canada is trying to make the game more inclusive for all and welcoming, check out that episode. You can find it at the Heavy Hockey Network on YouTube, which you're watching right now. So while you're here, you might as well subscribe to this channel because this is where you'll find all my podcasts moving forward. In this particular episode, Season 2, it'll be back to more of my usual stuff. Coming up, I'll be looking at the Kaliyev kneeing suspension, another Jacob Trouba hit, the Hayden Hodgson hit on Mark Stone and all the aftermath that came with it. And I'll touch on the Ryan Reaves comments about Radko Gudas and what he may or may not want Gudas to try and what he may or may not do about it if it comes about. As always, if you want a more in-depth breakdown of any of the videos I cover here, or the incidents I talk about here, or for even more hits and questionable calls and controversies, check out Tough Call on YouTube. Find my Tough Call channel and subscribe immediately, and then come back. And again, while you're here at the Heavy Hockey Network, you might as well subscribe right now while you listen. With that, let's get into my weekly total fines and suspensions, or my WTFs. Now, during the 2023-2024 preseason, the NHL's Department of Player Safety issued 0 fines and 1 suspension. Over that same period, I, as Tough Call, would have issued 1 fine and 5 suspensions. Now, here's the one we agree on. Arthur Kaliyev of the LA Kings was suspended 2 preseason games and 2 regular season games. For this play here, it was a kneeing incident. He stuck the leg out. And on that angle, it looks really bad. This is the angle that looks the worst, where you can really see him reach out that left leg. And he just absolutely creates knee on knee where it doesn't need to be. But I want to show you this angle from behind. You can see he is trying to set up for shoulder-to-shoulder contact. That's actually not bad posture, not a bad approach. If they had both stayed on the same trajectory, this probably would have been okay contact. But you can see the Ducks player veers to his right to avoid it and actually does a good job of slipping free. The shoulders are going to miss, so Kaliyev reaches out with that left leg. You can see it a little better on the next angle. You can really see how the Ducks player is actually going to avoid the contact. See, the shoulders miss entirely. So there you can see really how far Kaliyev reaches that leg out. So it's more of an attempted trip than a knee, but you are leading with that knee, and I couldn't agree more with the idea of a suspension here. It's way too dangerous to stick that leg out. I would have given him 6 games, though. Under the Tough Call system, kneeing is way too dangerous. There's just so many other things you can do besides stick your leg out, and the results of knee-on-knee contact are catastrophic. So it is something that's really important to go heavy on. For the regular NHL, 2 preseason games and 2 regular season games is pretty heavy. I really like the idea that they added regular season games to the preseason games. There is a precedent for that just this year. I'm going to check my notes here. NHL on September 9th, the Peterborough Pete's Quentin Pager was suspended 1 preseason game and 3 regular season games for a sucker punch. And I did see that sucker punch. It was pretty bad, definitely worthy of a long suspension. So there is precedent set for adding regular season games to preseason games. And there is also precedent in the NHL. I just can't remember that incident right now, but it's definitely a good thing that they added these on. But I will say, There were a couple of other similar instances just this preseason. And I'm going to load up a couple more videos here. The production value of this show, I'm going to have to switch back and forth between videos on my own. If you want me to be a little quicker on these changes, then get more people to watch me so I can hire a producer. But here's one more example. Now, this is actually a pretty good hit, but you can see the approach is very similar to Kaliyev. The players are going north-south straight at each other, and you can see his posture is almost the same. He just doesn't stick his leg out because the Flames player doesn't try and avoid contact. But you could see how the same situation could arise had players reacted differently. And then there's another one here that's actually a lot closer. It is kind of a true knee on knee, but it's avoided by the player. Instead of having, like Kaliyev, instead of sticking your leg out and intentionally making knee on knee contact, this player actually goes out of his way to lift his leg up and avoid. See, it looks bad in fast motion, but you can see the player coming in to make contact actually lifts his left leg up and pulls it out of the way so that the contact is not nearly as significant and severe. You can really get a good look at it here. It's all leg on leg coming up, but it's self-preservation mode. He lifts his left leg up and see how his knee goes right over top of the Wings player's knee because he's able to lift it up and out of the way. So even though he's the one who put himself in that position and created the potential for knee-on-knee contact, he actually reacted in such a way as to prevent it and avoid it. So that's what you want to see rather than what Kaliyev did, which is actually reach out and go out of your way to create it instead of avoid it. So those are the different things you might want to look at as you watch and you see these knee-on-knee incidents. Are they knee-on-knee, or is it just unavoidable knee contact? Or does the player in this case, even though there was leg contact, still actually avoid the more damaging aspects of it, which they did. It was fantastic. So I agree on that Kaliyev suspension. Here's the ones that we do not agree on that the NHL just straight up missed. On September 30th, there was a hit by Jacob Trouba, an illegal check to the head, and I would have given him 3 games. I'm going to load up the video here, and we can watch it. Trouba on Rada. Here we go. So this is a play that's really avoidable. It looks like he's just trying to finish his hit, but look how far he extends out and drives out with that shoulder. And there's a lot of force there, and it goes up and into the head. Now, you can still change your trajectory to hit this player, but look how low he is right now. This is good shoulder-on-shoulder potential for contact. You can have a nice, clean finish check here, but watch how his right shoulder raises up, and he takes an angle that drives right up and pops up into the head. Look how high he is now. Look at the elevation. There is absolutely no need for that. That is exceptionally avoidable head contact. You can really get a sense of it here in slow motion, low, and then pop up and out. It's extremely avoidable. I don't know how the NHL missed this, but I would have given him 3 games. On October 6th, there was an incident with Peyton Krebs and Chris Letang. This actually resulted in a Sidney Crosby fight. I would find Peyton Krebs. I really remember this as the hit that caused. I did my audio commentary, sorry. So you can see how this is a Chris Letang sandwich. There's 2 players that are going to hit him, and you can see Krebs here approaching, and he just rises up into the hit. He has to get around. He has to get around a Penguins opponent, so it changes his angle to the point where he's going to miss Letang. So as he makes the corner, he jumps right up off his feet and into the head. And you can see it again better on a little closer angle here. You can see how he just launches. Here it comes here. Look how he rises up off his feet and gets his shoulder and elbow up into the head area. That's avoidable. Like, why are you jumping here? So, I mean, it's not significant enough contact where, there was a severe potential for injury because the force wasn't that high, but it's a terrible habit, and that's just luck. So I'd fine him $2,500 for charging because it's just a habit you don't want to see, and you want to send a message to the league that, you know what, that's not good enough. Let's be better than that. On October 4th, Jacob Trouba, he's a very popular guy in the tough call world. He had a hit on Tyler Toffoli, and we'll get a look at it here. It's a boarding from behind. You can see how quick it happens. Look at the force Look at the force that he drives him into the boards with. There is absolutely no attempt to soften that. He doesn't see anything but numbers the whole way. Toffoli is not ever eligible for a shoulder-to-shoulder check. You can see Trouba is trying to get over into the shoulder. He's trying to work himself to the side to get to the shoulder, but look at him right now at contact. It's the classic Trouba move of lifting his right leg off the ice, extending his right shoulder out and up, and pushing off that back leg. When you are in open ice, this is bad enough because you're going to go upwards into the head. But especially near the boards, this is not a person who's trying to soften contact or do anything to avoid forcefully driving his opponent into the boards. This is a player who's going to finish a check, whether it's available or not. This isn't an attempted pin. It's not an attempted box out. It's a player forcefully driving another player from behind with no control, no regard for his safety. This is not the actions of a person who's trying to calmly push someone into the boards. So I give Jacob Trouba 4 games for boarding there. That is a play to me. It's a non-hockey play that isn't malicious. It's 3 to 5 games under the tough call scale. That's 4 games. Leon Draisaitl. Another incident. I would suspend Leon Draisaitl 3 games for charging, for absolutely jumping into a hit here. It wasn't the preseason, but he goes so out of his way to make this hit. It's hilarious. He again has to skate around an opponent and jump. There's no other way around it. So he gets knocked down here in the corner, and he's not happy about it. A little bit of an incident coming up here, right there. And so the very next play, he's just looking to hit anybody that he can see. And unfortunately, this is the first person he comes across. So he skates all the way across the zone, around his teammate, and then jumps up into contact. And here's the jump right here. So you're going out of your way to make that happen. Now, is it horribly violent? No, but he doesn't care right now. He's just hitting that person no matter whether it's safe or not. And he jumps and launches through the back. Not a hockey play at all. There's no attempt to play the puck. There's no hockey purpose to it. You're just trying to hurt someone because you're mad. So there's 3 games for Leon Draisaitl. Jeff Skinner. There's an incident involving Jeff Skinner with another illegal check to the head. Where's that clip here? Bam. So now it's just angle of approach. Players turning into him. He's allowed to stand him up legally. There's no reason why he can't step down and make contact here. But he takes an angle of approach that goes through the head. There's no body contact there. And he goes up and through the head. It's avoidable head contact. Like I said, he's eligible to be checked. But there is core-to-core contact readily available there. That player is not in an unusual posture for a hockey player. All Skinner has to do is stay low and go through the core, and instead he goes up and across and through the head. Avoidable, not horrifically malicious, but still exceptionally avoidable. There's 3 games. There was an incident between Tanner Kero and Damian Hunt. And this was one of the ones that people thought there should have been an illegal check to the head penalty on.
My heart's beating, my hands.
I feel like maybe it's avoidable. Oh, this is the YouTube short. I have the wrong clip up. But you can see Kero is trying to, let me make that a little bigger. Is that possible? Yeah. So Kero is trying to get behind the net. He's trying to get behind the net. And the path is gone because there's a player in his way. Now, he could have stopped and avoided it. So I'm not saying that it was completely unavoidable, but I'm saying this is why there's minor penalties. Because he's not trying to lift up and shrug in. He's actually trying to pull himself away and avoid contact. And when he can't, he just absorbs it. So I'm calling it accidental because of the approach and the paths of travel of both players. The other wild player, Hunt, he had no idea the hit was coming. He's just putting his head down and going around behind the net and looking out front of the net here. And he has no idea Kero's even there. But that's not really Kero's fault. He could stop, but what's it up to him to stop completely for and avoid this? That's not his problem. All he can do is try and make the contact as unmalicious as possible. And unfortunately, that takes him on a path that went through the head. So I would call a minor penalty here, but I wouldn't say he went and targeted the head or did anything to create that head contact. That was created by the opponent not being aware enough. So that's all the ones that we didn't agree on. Some of the ones they missed. So that's where my 5 extra suspensions come from. And now we'll move on to the next segment, the incident of the week. And this week's incident of the week is the Oshie hit on Fantilli. And I got to tell you, this is absolutely a textbook clean check. I absolutely love this body check. There's no excess power. There's no excess force. It's just another player standing at a player up. There's no full upward motion. There's no explosion. It's just absolute perfection. A nice low squat, good, hard, clean, open ice contact. And I like that there was no response. There's no need to fight anybody after a play like this. What more could you ask a player to do besides go straight through the core there and not take advantage of them? Absolutely beautiful. I want to see way more of this kind of contact in hockey. And the only way to do it is to ask players to stay low and go through the core. We saw how players in my suspensions that the NHL missed elevate unnecessarily. They take angles that go through the head. They lift their shoulder up. Not here, baby. This is all hockey. This is a perfect hockey body check. This is what they mean by textbook right here. So attaboy TJ Oshie. And good on Fantilli for just getting up and playing the game after the fact. There was another clean check here. I'll show you. And it's kind of a reverse check. And I just wanted to show you how even contact where people don't have time to prepare can also become clean, hard physical contact. So here we have Sam Lafferty that had the puck. He was going through the neutral zone. He actually has the puck, and another player stepping up to hit him. And they just slam into each other. But there's zero head contact because both players, instead of panicking, getting their stick up, jumping up, they both stay low, and they both keep on the same path of travel and go core to core. Boom. There's no danger there at all. It's a great big collision, nice, heavy, thunderous contact, and players just absorb it and move on. I absolutely love it. Where are we now? Okay, we're going to move on to the next segment, which is by request. And this week's by request is the Hayden Hodgson hit on Mark Stone. And here it is here. And to me, there is nothing wrong with this. This is shoulder to shoulder, core through core contact. And I know people are saying it's interference, but there's the puck right there. If Stone doesn't want to get hit, Stone should just sit there right now and protect himself. But instead, he reaches and takes a swipe for the puck. If you're trying to play the puck, expect to get hit. And there's nothing wrong with that hit. It is absolutely solidly through the core. There's no head hunting, no targeting. It's just thunderous core-to-core contact. This is what we want to see, isn't it? This is what the game's all about. So I can see how maybe someone who can't see what's happening around him, maybe you get a little upset. You think maybe they charged you or something, but there certainly wasn't any attempt at the head. And even if you want to think that, in the moment, okay, get upset, but don't go on and on in the moment and start a riot and then continue to go on about it in the press and then make insulting comments about this player. He got the better of you. Get over it. All right, it was a clean hit. WHL, there was a massive hit resulting in a 25-game suspension. And I'm going to pull the hit up here. It's one of those ones where you're chasing a player to the corner after a dump in and you do nothing but drive them through the boards. This is absolutely a terrible hit. Is it 25 games? Well, that's because of player history. That's where the 25 games comes from. But This is a terrible hit. And to me, it's 8 to 10 games alone. Like, it's absolute garbage Bush League hit. You can't have that. And if this player is doing that multiple times, absolutely send a message, suspend them 25 games. That's the way it's done. Now, for our last segment of the night, called Here's the Thing. And here's the thing. I said I'd talk to you about Radko Gudas and Ryan Reaves, the comments Reaves made about Gudas when he was shown a picture of Gudas taunting the Leafs goaltender Wall after the overtime winner that eliminated the Leafs from playoff contention last year. And he's like, I'd like to see him try that. Well, I'd like to see Reaves try and stop Gudas from doing that. He won't stop Gudas or anyone else from doing anything they want. I'm sorry. It just doesn't happen that way. Someone like Ryan Reaves is there to hold someone accountable for things that they do. So all he's going to do is be able to get revenge on them after the fact. That's it. He's not going to be able to stop them. No one is not going to do what Gudas did just because they think Ryan Reaves may or may not beat them up at some point in the future. There's going to be boardings against Leafs players. There's going to be open ice checks against Leafs players. And there's nothing he or anyone else is going to do about it. It's going to happen league-wide. The enforcers don't actually stop people from doing anything in this era at all. They just try and hold people accountable after the fact. And it doesn't work, as I've always said, because they don't pick their moments well enough. They don't wait for something actually dirty or something that they actually don't want to see to happen before they go after people. They're going to go after people for regular, mundane, open ice hits. And so why would players stop doing regular, mundane, open ice hits? Because that's their entire purpose for playing hockey, is these things. If you really want to send a message, you got to pick your moments better, in my opinion. You only have to go after people for doing actual dirty things or going after dirty players. You don't just pick anyone at random because somebody got hit too hard and go after them. I know there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with me there, but it is what it is. And particularly in the case of Ryan Reaves, where he's only going to get 5 or 6 minutes a night. If that, he's not going to play enough to be effective or do anything. Players are going to continue to do things to Leafs players and players around the league, and players like Ryan Reaves won't be able to do anything because they're not going to be on the ice enough. They're not going to have the opportunity to make it happen. All a player has to do is hide for 1 or 2 shifts, and it's over. And Reaves won't be able to stop it. So I feel like what you need in the NHL is the grit all across the board with players that can play hockey as well. You need to have strong, solid players that are your leaders on the ice, leading by example, working hard, high energy all the time. And then if things get mucky and gritty, they can handle themselves. And I don't even mean fist fights. I mean battles in front of the net. I mean going into the corner and always making sure you're the one coming out with the puck. That is the type of grit and intensity that the Leafs or anyone else needs. You don't need a bunch of highly skilled players that have no heart and no grit, and then 2 or 3 players that only have grit and no skill. That's not a good mixture. You need to have a mixture of players that have both. And you're not going to make up for the lack of grit that you think you see in your top players by adding someone who only has grit and no skill. You can't make one player out of connecting 2 players. You need it in one player, and you need multiple players with the same sort of identities and skill sets that involve having grit and toughness. That's the way things are going to work. I can't imagine that this Ryan Reaves experiment will work out very well for the Maple Leafs in the long run. And with that, I think that brings this episode to a close. Thanks very much for watching. I very much appreciate it. Please like, comment on the YouTube show, and then subscribe to the Heavy Hockey Network, which is going to host my podcast. Then find Tough Call on YouTube if you're not already subscribed there, and subscribe to my Tough Call channel proper, because that's where you're going to find all the breakdowns, the in-depth breakdowns of these incidents. And you're going to find a lot more incidents than what I cover here all the time. You can comment there. It's a great community to be part of. It's a lot of fun to do. And again, thanks very much for watching, and enjoy the hockey.